So today our special guest is Francis LoGiudice. Francis, are you on? Let's see if I can find you.
I am. Yep. Been
All
on
right,
the whole
there you
time
are.
here, Trey.
All right,
You're doing
cool.
a great job, Trey.
Thanks. I'm speaking fast. I'm going fast. I wanted to get to you. We had a lot of announcements. Um, but guys, I'm really excited for you guys to hear from Francis. Francis has been with FFL for a few years. He's hit Hall of Fame now multiple times. He's salt of the earth, really down to earth, really easygoing, a hard worker. He's done all the stuff. He's been to all the events. He's gone through every trial and tribulation the business has to offer. And he's just experienced some of the most explosive success recently of anyone I've ever seen. In fact, in July, Francis, how much did you issue in life premium in July 2024?
649,000.
Okay. Now, if you see here, the title is Discover the Secret Four-Step Formula Behind the Largest Issue Paid Life Premium Month by a Single Producer in FFO History. I put this in a bunch of different text groups, Francis, and people said, is he LOA? Meaning, are there a bunch of other agents writing under his number? And I'm like, no, it was just Francis. It was just him. And so yesterday, I sent this topic to Francis, and I go, hey, I made this fancy title about a four-step formula. I hope we can come up with 4 steps. And in like 2 minutes, he sent back the 4 steps. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing. So we'll stick to those 4 steps, Francis. For those that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you found FFL, and then we'll jump into the rest of your story.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Trey. Thanks for having me on. Didn't realize I was I hold the title for the largest issue pay of a single producer, but I'll take that title. And hopefully somebody will take it from me one day, or maybe I can top myself, which is always nice. So I got started with FFL January of 2020. Before that, I ran a business for about 20 some years. Technology kind of changed it around. I mean, it is so true when you guys are talking to other people. This is the best business out there. It's the best. The cost, the barrier of entry is like nothing. I mean, I had to pitch 9 banks. Got an SBA loan. Had to basically put off, give them my firstborn that I didn't even have. I mean, you have to collateralize everything. And, the risk of starting a business is huge compared to FFL. I mean, compared to life insurance. So I got that going. That was successful. Technology turned it up on its head. So I sold it in 2016 versus filing bankruptcy, and, still had kids in high school. And, the wife's like, okay, what's next? And flipped houses for 3 years, or 4 years, had 3 great years. And then the 4th year, I got into too big of projects, and they swallowed me, and I made the least amount of money in my whole life that last year, period. So at 50 some years old, looking for a job, kind of hard nobody wanted to hire me. Even the headhunters, like, Francis, you need to go buy a franchise. You've done it all. People don't want somebody who's gonna, want to take their position. And so he's sitting there talking me out of trying to, get a job, if you will. But I, again, had kids in school, and needed to get some income coming in. So I found life insurance. Started with a practice company, as everyone says, and I knew there was something better. Started Googling, and I found Family First Life. Found some different YouTubes and things, and contacted corporate. And then somebody reached out to me from FFL, and the rest is history. So been doing this for about 4 years. Started like everybody else, face to face, final expense, mortgage protection. And, I mean, in all actuality, it's very good training ground, in that sense that you have to be one with the phones. Okay. You've got to call, you've got to relentlessly call and call and call and call and call and call. And that's final expense, mortgage protection. And about 2 years ago, I guess, or a year and a half ago, I followed Juan Franco's lead and I went into IULs and, 100% IULs. Um, and you got to call, you got to beat up the phones. Half the people that raised their hand and said, I'm looking for an IUL, they don't answer the phone. They don't answer a text. They don't answer an email. I've got drip campaigns going to them. I mean, it is what it is. People see something, they're interested, but it's like squirrel and they're off to something else and they don't answer the phone. They forgot what they did almost and that kind of thing. So you have to be relentless on the phones. And so you asked me, hey, what is your 4-step process? And basically it's you've got to have the leads. That does not change. I think last month I spent 10 grand on leads. That might be low for some people. That might be stupid high for other people who are on this call. If it takes money to make money. There is that will never change. You do have to invest in your business. You have to have leads. You have to have fresh leads. Yes, you can call old leads, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can revitalize leads. I had a guy that we met with in December, and he fell off my radar, and somehow he got back on, and we're writing 4 policies later this week that he was thinking about. And hey, I'm glad you called. So you just have to stay on the phone. You need the leads, but you got to make the dials. And if you make the dials, then you're going to get people to answer the phone. You're going to be able to set appointments, and you're going to be able to help those people with whatever it is they need. So it's again, what we do is really similar. Final expense, mortgage protection, annuities, IULs. You have to get the leads, be in front of them, but then find the why. Annuities, yeah, not so much. That's pretty easy why. Protect their money and grow it. Final expense, what is that why? Well, that's the same thing with the IUL. What is the why of the IUL? Yes, the one thing that helped me be the top producer in July was I had a lady that was looking for estate planning. I called her up. We scheduled a Zoom. I went through my process, asked her what she was looking for. And she wants to put 50,000, and that's what she's doing, 50,000 a month into an IUL for estate planning. And so, it was kind of when I asked that question, I always ask people when I'm doing my IUL illustration, so how much would you like to put in? I have some people that'll, put in $500 a month. I have one gentleman that puts in $5,000 a month, and this is all true. I mean, those are clients, and I'll ask, so what would you like to put in? Well, 50,000. And so I'm like, a year? And no, a month. I'm like, okay, so that's 600,000 a year. Boy, I repeated that multiple times, and I didn't want to beat her up, like, oh, you're lying. You don't want to do that. But I had to, so I plugged in 50,000 and we went forward. But you got to find their why. And so what her why was she was looking for estate planning. This was extra money, and she wanted to make sure that her family the taxes, there wouldn't be a tax issue. There was, and so you got to find their why. I have a pilot that we got him an IUL because he makes more money than he can put into his 401k, and but he doesn't think that's enough for him to retire on. And he's 42 years old, so he still has a good, 15, 20 years almost, that'll probably keep flying. As long as he's healthy, he's going to keep doing it. And so we reallocated that extra money that he's doesn't know what to do with, but he's maxed out his 401k, and we're putting that into an IUL. So again, it's a big part of what their why is. I had a discovery call today with a gentleman, and all he wants is life. My wife and I need life insurance. Yet he responded to an IUL ad, but IUL is just permanent life insurance. Whole life and index universal life, those are the only two permanent life insurances out there. Otherwise, you got term. So you're helping someone either with index universal life or a whole life. I just happen to like the index universal life a little bit better than the whole life. And so so that's kind of where, if somebody wants a whole life, yeah, I'll help them in that area. But usually it's more of a final expense. They get to the point where they that's when you're talking to them, that's really, yeah, I'd like to put $50 a month into this. Well, you really just need some permanent life insurance, right? Because $50 a month is not going to grow any kind of cash. And usually if you're looking for an IUL, it is more than just permanent life insurance. Most people are looking to build that cash growth, maybe for retirement or help some grandkids out when they're in college or whatever the situation is. So again, you really need to find out their why. That does not change. That doesn't matter what kind of life insurance you're helping someone with. You've got to find that out. You've got to ask them what they're looking for, and then you structure that policy accordingly. And so that's what I did with this lady is helped her structure it accordingly. Took a while to get her. She was 62 years old, and took her a while to get approved. We went from March all the way to July before we could actually, get her. And I really thought it was going to show up in August because, I mean, it didn't approve till like the 28th of July or whatever. So
That's wild. So Francis, so there's a few questions. The first question was, well, I hope they paid you more than the $3,500 cap. Because the carriers have a cap. So explain how the commission
right.
works when you write a 50 grand a month one.
The jury's still out on that one. So my cap's a little higher than 3,500 because I've been doing this for a while and I've written a few hundred IUL policies with the carrier. So so I have a $10,000 cap. So yeah, that's what I get the first month. And then the second month I just got my second amount, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I'm reaching out to find out, but it was pretty close. I mean, I was expecting to be as earned. So so a year ago, I had a dentist who wanted to put 3,000 in. And last year, or not last year, yeah, earlier this year, I had a gentleman who's putting $5,000 a month in. Okay, so I mean, I know how you get paid on how I got paid on those. This one's paying out a little different. The way, your cap's 10, if you cap's 10 or you cap's 3,500, okay, whatever that cap is, 2,500, that's your standard starting cap, and it can go up based on how many policies you've written, how good a business you write, there's a lot of factors that go into it. So, but the 10,000, so it takes 2 months. If the guy's paying in 5,000, it takes him 2 months to pay into that $10,000. So I received 10,000, but I didn't receive another commission for 3 months because the 10,000 had to get paid, and then the next payment had to get paid, and then I got that next week after that third payment. I received I guess it was 5,000. It was kind of like an as earned up to that 75%. And then months 10, 11, 12, you get the other 25%. So like everything else. Yep.
Got it. So you still get the same commission for the year. You just get it in pieces.
Right.
Is that how it works?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you got more than a $10,000 commission on a $50,000 a month sale, as long as it stays on the books for a year.
Right.
Awesome.
Exactly.
So what I love about this, Francis, is like, okay, first of all, how much was that lead from that lady?
$15 maybe. Oh, and here's the other nice part about it. That I did that Zoom while I was snowboarding in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Oh, that's even better. Holy cow.
Yeah. So that was
Were,
the best ski trip ever.
were you intimidated? How many times did you actually have to meet with her before she made the decision to do it? And did she come to you with things that you didn't have an answer for right away? And how'd you keep the conversation going? Was it intimidating?
Um, no, I mean, I really thought I messed it up when I kind of went into, is that a year? No, that's a month. Are you sure? You know, because that's $600,000 in a year. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I have that. That's fine. Like, okay, I just want to make sure that you have that spare. That's extra. That's not, you don't live on that money because it's not part of your cash flow. It is something that you have to put into it. You can't, because we when we did the illustration, she wanted also to have the ability to pull the money if she needed it. Um, borrow from herself, use it as it was, the be your own bank was the concept, along with estate planning. So she knew that she's putting money away into a tax-free environment, utilizing the ability to take a loan and out of her, from her own money there. And so year after year one, it was like 283,000 that she'd have available to her. And so I can't say I was intimidated. Put it this way, it was one of those things that I got off the call. I laughed. This will never happen. This lady is full of it. There's just no way, you know, she's telling me, she's shooting me straight. And we went through all the underwriting and she was shooting me straight all the way, all along. And again, I wrote that application while I did the Zoom, and I wrote the application all in the same one call close, if you will. So again, I'm like, there's no way she didn't have to go back and talk to her husband. I was trying to get her to split it up between multiple people in the family to make it, better for the whole family. And no, no, I just want it on myself. I'm like, okay, all right. Again, that's what she wants. So I'm going to let her, um, tell me what she wants, and I'm going to help her get what she wants. And that's basically what I did. But I didn't believe it the whole time. And then, I mean, she had some spot on her liver and we had to get an MRI. And I mean, it's like, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. This is never. So I wrote it off. I just kept working my butt off. I mean, the other 49,000 of the month, I mean, that was money that I issue paid for July. So it's not like I had a terrible month. I wasn't having a bad month by any stretch. It was just nice to have an extra 600,000, drop in. Well,
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. That's really great. I want to get into now. I came to Nashville. I spent a week with you. Well, not a week, but a few days.
few days. Yep.
And I just thank you for that, by the way. That was awesome. You and Neil, MJ, you guys are all great. Um, talk to us about your weekly schedule, your routine, how many appointments, what your goal is as far as presentations in a week or a day, all of that stuff.
Yep. So I pulled the number up because actually I did a call for, it was either Juan or Neil a couple weeks ago, and we're looking at so the month I pulled up on my stats is I made 4,900 calls for that month. So because I can monitor it through my CRM, and so I'm shooting for 30 Zooms a week. So again, no difference in the 30 appointments in home or 40 appointments in home. If I can get 40, I will. I open up my week. I work on Saturdays, Sundays. I work from 8 in the morning till 8, 9, 10 at night. And the reason I do that is because my kids are in college, and so if I'm going to go have dinner with my wife, I don't book a Zoom. If we're going to go out to some friend's house, I don't book anything on a Saturday evening or a Friday evening. But if I don't feel like I'm going to have anything, I work that time. I work, go to church in the morning on Sundays. So that means the whole afternoon's free. So I can, schedule my Sundays. And I'll do that because, like I was getting ready to go take 3 or 4 days and go visit a friend, might do some work, might not, but I can schedule that time off if I want. I don't have to worry about it. Again, I'm my own boss, but if I worked multiple Sundays and if I worked multiple days and then it's not going to hurt me if I take a week off. It's not going to hurt me, um, and so, that's really, I don't want any white space on my calendar. I want discovery calls and Zooms all day long. Jesse Stam's probably way better than me. And one day he had like, golly, what was it, 18 appointments in one day or something? It's like, oh my gosh. But I mean, I've had many days with 10, 11 Zoom appointments.
Are you booking discovery calls via tech with your text automations? Are those booking discovery calls? Or sometimes they are,
So
and then you're catching them, or
yeah, so I have both. It's about 20% of the leads come in. They have the ability to get on my calendar and schedule their own call. And so I had about 5 or 6 of those today. And otherwise I have to call the rest.
Mhm.
And so I finally broke down, and thank you to you, Trey. I do have someone dialing for me. So I had to go back to June or July. Was it June or July? That was the month that I was doing. That was the last month that I was beating up the phones myself. So I'm now only calling, and which is smart. I mean, I'm in front of people on Zoom and I'm in front of people that schedule on my calendar. So I call the discovery calls if they're on my calendar. My dialer calls everybody else. So that's been working really well. But I've only been doing that for a month and a half. So it's still new to me, but it's going well.
And then the times when you're getting no showed or they're not showing up, then you're working with agents, or I mean, what you used to do
So
is just keep calling.
yeah, I used to just keep calling. So now it does free me up to be able to reach out to an agent, prepare for, like, we have a weekly meeting after this, about 2 hours after this, at 7 tonight Central Time. So prepare, get to prepare for that, and but otherwise, or just do follow up calls where, again, I don't feel like I have to book my calendar, but I need to check with this person and follow up. So yeah.
Is there a lot of follow-up work with when the business is fully underwritten? You're touching base with a lot of these people more than once, even after they've said yes, or there's things the carriers need. Do you have staff for that, or is that kind of fall on you?
So that does fall on me. I use Leanne for really just recruiting, but all the back end office, since I'm mainly, 90% of who I write is National Life Group. You know, I because it is that fully underwritten, it's good product. Otherwise, F&G and Mutual of Omaha. Um, and so, yeah, there is always the underwriting sends you an email. We need to know about this medicine. You got to reach out to the client. So it's not a lot, but um, yeah, there are emails and texts that'll have to go out.
All right, I'm going to go through some of these questions in the chat because a lot of stuff popped up here. So, somebody asked what CRM you're using. What CRM are you
So
using?
it's go high level. Eric Hamadi had turned us on to Agent CRM a couple years ago.
Yeah, and for our group, what we focus on is Agent CRM Center. Jamie and Mike File have done an incredible job of that. Tons of automation, same system
Oh,
as
yeah.
what Francis has. Um, so we have those tools, Sasha, already. I think it was Sasha that let me see who asked that. No, Sarah Lee. Sarah Lee. We have those tools, Sarah Lee. So get with the person that invited you. We'll get you hooked up with the CRM to handle everything. Let's see. Jesse said you earned the NLG Croatia trip in one deal. Is you're going to Croatia? That's good. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to find other questions. Um, okay, so tell us, you know, I think we probably should go this direction, Francis, because the thing about you and really any top producer that I've noticed is like you have really thick skin and you get better and learn as time goes by. Like you learn as you go. You don't try to figure it all out the first day. You don't reinvent the wheel. It is a process and you've embraced that. So talk to us about the process. Like if you're a new agent, what can you expect this opportunity to make of you over time?
So, I learned this from an old boss. And hopefully, Hamadi, hopefully you got that invite for that 75th birthday for Roddy. But my old boss, Roddy Dye, used to say, be a student of the business. And that was from back selling books door to door, when I was in college. Um, and so it's true in everything you do. You have to become a student of the business. You have to learn your craft. You have to know it. You got to know what your competition is doing. You have to understand what your clients are looking for. And so as a new agent, learn everything about um, the script and the psychology of the script. Why are we, uh, saying that, or why, now I have a tendency to not necessarily uh, I think Sean Mike don't ever ask how they're doing, but I've gotten to the point where I'm just pretty laid back on my call. Hey Trey, how you doing? I'm gonna let them, say I'm doing great, awesome. Well, hey, I was just giving you a call because you scheduled on my calendar to get some information on the IUL. Oh yeah, yeah. Or oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you'll get both, but you have to just do it. And the more you do it, and the more you hear people come back with different, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And then you have to help them understand what they were doing. Well, again, it doesn't matter what lead it is. If it's, yes, you're going to get more some of your final expense and mortgage protection that maybe 30 people are calling these people. But the IULs, there's not, they normally fill out one thing and you happen to be the one to get that lead. I mean, yes, they're searching for it. They're on Google, they're on Facebook, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're all over the place looking for information on IULs, for example, since that's what I specialize in. Um, but they're not getting as beat up. But still, whatever you're doing, if you're a new agent and you're making those phone calls, first you got to get the lead. You're making the phone calls. You need to know what that lead responded to, so that you know how to handle them. Is it if you're calling them a final expense person and you think it's an IUL, it's not going to go well, So you got to make sure you do know what your client is looking for. And if you don't know, ask them, hey, you were looking for some life insurance. What kind are you looking for? I'm a broker. I have every type of life insurance known to man.
Well, Hamani told me to ask you this question. He said, was there ever a time that you thought this wasn't going to work? And did you contemplate quitting? And what turned it around?
My come to Jesus meeting with Eric Hamadi. No,
That was a planet question. Okay.
no. Um, uh, Hamadi got in a little after me, but he knew everything about it. He knew more about FFL than I did. And it was like, what the heck? But yes, I hate to say it. You have to stay consistent. And I'm going to tell everybody, I haven't always been consistent. Um, I will have to say on even on this big one coming, I kept working thinking it's never going to go through. It's never going to go through. Because I've had, after year one, I all of a sudden I had no money, and it's like, where did all my cash go? I'm either putting it back in the business or I'm spending it or whatever. And I need leads. And so, in 5 years and 4 years, there's probably been 1 month every single year where I just did not plan well. Okay. And because I wasn't consistent, I either, had a chargeback, or I just didn't have cash flow. Okay. It takes money to make money, but you have to be wise with your money, and you need to put the money back in. Okay. And I, man, in the beginning, I put every dime back in. I mean, I still do in a sense, but yeah, there was, I can't say I ever really wanted to quit, because I'll be honest with you. I mean, I made, probably my best year in my business, probably cleared 350, maybe 400. That wasn't every year. That was only a couple years out of the 20 some years I ran my business. Most of the time I'm just north of six figures. Okay. But, I have never made so much money until I got into life insurance. I mean, it is, and I'm not saying I mean, now this just puts it up over the, another threshold, but last year, hitting Hall of Fame, and the year before that coming close, and even my first year, I think I did just as like 189 or something like that, and I spent 35,000 on leads. That's still a damn good year. 150K. I mean, that's, or 140K. That's really good. Um, and I worked part time half that year. I didn't get into full time till June of 2020. So it's
Well, your
I can't say
perspective,
I've ever wanted to quit.
well, having a background in business, that's the hardest part, is learning how to be self-employed. For
Yeah.
anybody new,
Oh
the
yeah,
hardest
it
part
is.
is that.
Yeah. Because even me being self-employed and knowing that, and being self-employed my whole life, it's still easy sometimes to take your foot off the gas and sit back a little bit and not work as hard, and all of a sudden, oh shit, it catches up to you. So you really got to get ahead of it, keep keep investing in it. The one thing I can say is I have not recruited like I need to recruit, and so that's definitely on the forefront of where I need to be to grow my team. I'm a lopsided team, so I've got to grow my width, and so that I can see, better bonuses, and more residual income. I mean, that's because golly, if I'm not making the sales, then I'm starving. So I got to get to the point where, um, I'm helping other people make sales, and then it's going to be a win-win.
Amen to that. And you do have one heck of a start as far as your
Yeah,
team goes. So
yeah,
you got a
yeah, I
problem a
do.
lot of people wish they had.
Right.
Um, all right. Well, any parting words, Francis, as we go? And if anybody else has any more questions, you guys put them in the chat real quick here. So
No, just buy your leads, call those leads, find out what they're looking for, and then structure the policy accordingly. Whether it's whole life, term. I mean, I've teamed up term and IULs together because they need more life insurance. I mean, there's just so much to do. Someone
and
asked if I'm using social media leads. I use every kind of lead. I use Facebook leads, Google leads. Um, most, I mean, so almost everything is social media, I guess you would say. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
I
No
love that.
direct mail and IULs.
Um, and so after you had your big month, did you stop working or you still do it?
Oh no, I'm still at it. Hell
All right,
yeah.
good. So even after it's
Yeah,
gone through, you're
I've
going.
got to hit million, and then Jesse was wrong because my TP, my target premium was only 298. So I'm only halfway to Croatia. Well, I'm more than halfway, but I still have 150K to hit to get Croatia.
Well, I love that.
So I'll see you
Well,
in
good work.
Croatia, Jesse.
And probably a few others on here as well. I know Nick will be there and there's some others. So, all right.
Yep.
Well, thank you for jumping on this. I really appreciate this, Francis, and congratulations on all your success. And I know you're going
Thank
to
you,
have
sir.
continued success. And I know you're recruiting every week now. And
Yep.
so we're going to make sure you don't have a lopsided team. And thanks for everything you do. If you ever need anything from any of us, let us know. And you guys make it a great week. Thanks for jumping on.